Looking at all the fighters from 135 to 140, Shakur Stevenson, Gervonta Davis, Teofimo Lopez, Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia, who is the best fighter of this new generation, in your opinion?
Oh, it's a lot to consider because a lot of their careers are not over. I tend to deal with the best fighter after their career is over. It's hard to assess it when they're having their career because for 15 fights they can look great and you're ready to put them on Mount Rushmore, and all of a sudden they can have a setback of 2 or 3 fights, or they could be in a fight like Devin. He was anointed a certain position, a certain status. In one fight, it just came tumbling down. That's the nature of the game. That's the nature of who you're dealing with. That's the nature of people who like you and dislike you. The ones who dislike you gonna slam you. The ones who like you, they're gonna be a little cautious about their opinion on you also. And then you got those that's gonna stick with you through thick and thin. So it's hard for me to say who's the best fighter. If Crawford closes out his career undefeated, then I'd have to say that of this particular generation, he was the best. Uh, but you have a lot of fighters with great potential, and Gervonta, he's proven himself. Shakur had a fight that kind of he got judged on. He didn't perform well. He knows why. I'm sure he's got some get back in him. Teofimo just came off a fight that he didn't really particularly perform well after he had that great outing against Josh Taylor. So I'm sure he's got some get back in him. So the 140 division is a tough division, an exciting division. 135 has some great opportunities for some great fights also.
Now, Floyd Mayweather did post Shakur Stevenson versus Gervonta Davis on his IG story last week, back when him and Tank was going back and forth. Let's just say that fight does get made. How would you break down that fight? I'm not going to ask you who's going to win, but how would you break down that fight?
I think it'll be a highly skilled fight. I think that it's a fight that's pretty cut and dry. Gervonta can't afford to be outboxed, and Shakur can't afford to get caught with nothing. And I think it sums it down to that. So when you got those challenges ahead of you, you got Shakur not being don't want to get caught with nothing, but at the same time he's trying to win the fight, and Gervonta don't want to be outboxed, so he's got to make adjustments also. So it's a very intriguing fight. I think that the public would pay to see it, and I hope it happens in the future.
Derrick James got a fighter in Frank Martin who faces Gervonta Davis on, I believe, June 15th. What can Derrick James instill in Frank Martin for him to be successful against Gervonta Davis?
Well, I don't know Frank that well. I've only seen him fight a couple of times. He seems like he's a good fighter. At this stage, um, I would try not to get caught with nothing. That would be my first priority. Don't get caught with nothing. Don't take any foolish chances. Don't be careless because I've seen Gervonta up and close with a fighter of mine, and he's cat quick from a standstill, and he can cover a great distance in one step, and he can leave his feet and hurt you. So you have to be leery of when he attacks. He attacks out of nowhere, and he uses his size to his advantage. He makes you fight his height. So he's mastered that. He's very athletic. He's more athletic than people think he is. And I think we haven't even seen the best of Gervonta. He seems to be maturing in his attitude and his conversation and things like that. It seems like he's grown into a strong, rooted young man. And, that's admirable of him. From what I've seen, he's maturing. He understands the responsibility that comes along with it. And success brings that. And he's not going to be easy to beat.
Now, going back to blaming trainers, and you brought up the fighter that you had against Gervonta Davis. Do you think that you took a lot of unnecessary blame in that fight and what in that loss? Because I do remember you saying that Mario Barrios wasn't even supposed to fight Tank. He was supposed to be moving up to 147. And we seen Mario Barrios at 147 since he got there. He beat Ugas and had a good victory over the weekend. So do you feel like you took some unnecessary blame in that loss?
No, not at all. To sweat him down to 140 was a big step because the decision had already been made to move him to 147. And but it was a great opportunity for him. Even if he'd won, he'd have still went to 147. I thought he fought admirably. I thought he gave Tank one of his toughest fights. So we had a plan. Unfortunately, he made a mistake, I believe, in the seventh, eighth round, got caught. But he hung in that fight. And Tank himself said that Mario hurt him. So uh, I was proud of him that fight. He had to take off a lot of weight. He had to suffer to take the weight off. That's no excuse. Um, in the Thurman fight, it was his first fight at 47, and I said it depends on what Keith Thurman shows up. If the Thurman that shows up that fought Riverside Rocky, we got a chance. If the Thurman shows up that's at his best, it's going to be a tough fight. But he did a great job against Ugas. He did pretty well the other night. So I'm happy for Mario. I have nothing against him at all.